And with that, I would like to officially welcome everyone to the first of our fall semester 2022 graduate student webinars within the College of Education. I'm so glad you all have joined us tonight. This is a great opportunity for multiple reasons. Number one, there are topics related to academic success and overall student success that we are really wanting to dive deeply into with you this fall semester. And so the email that you received, which lists for you those webinar series, we very much believe will help all of our graduate students to be the most successful graduate student that they can be this year. And so I'm grateful you all are here for the first of these. The title of tonight's presentation is focused on tools for online research and tips for academic success. And I know I mentioned this in my email, but the reason that this is so very, very important is that whichever program you are part of, across disciplines, online research and being able to use online research tools for the sake of your writing is going to be a critical component of your success as a student. And I know that when I sat with Laura, our presenter tonight, and she went through this presentation with me, I thought I knew things. I did. I thought I had been a doctoral student at ISU in the taking courses in the past. And I thought, I know our online research tools. Oh my goodness, there was so much I did not realize that I could have been tapping into in my own coursework. And so the fact you are here is amazing. Laura, thank you for being with us.
Hey, thank you.
To the students who are here, thank you for being with us and for investing in your own education in this manner tonight. We are recording this for the sake of those who cannot be here. I see a question in the chat box that is asking, are these webinars offered at this same time? And the answer for the fall semester is yes. Reason being that so many of our grad students are working full-time during the day. And I realize that 5 o'clock is tricky for many people. So many of our graduate courses actually start later in the evening, let's say at 7 o'clock. And so one of our goals was to start at 5 o'clock right now in the fall semester. We're offering different days of the week. They will not always be on a Wednesday. That we were staggering them throughout the week. But that start time of 5 o'clock is what we're going with for the fall semester. But you are going to have the chance to give feedback. And so all of you can give that feedback to say, you know what, 6 o'clock would be better, or let's go at 4 o'clock. You know, if people are able to take their lunch break later in the afternoon and we meet at 4. But it was focused on the work schedule of students and the class times that are more typical within our graduate programs. So thank you for that question in the chat box, and I hope that helps to answer that. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Laura. Actually, I'm going to pause. I'm going to actually, before I introduce you officially, I do want to say
Sure.
that our agenda for tonight is that Laura has a 30-minute presentation for all of us tonight. I encourage you to take notes. I encourage you to soak in the information that she is sharing with you. We are going to save any questions for the end. So after 30 minutes, we will offer the room to you all for any questions. So maybe jot down a question you have, just so that she can go through that presentation in the order that she planned. And then after 30 minutes, we'll pause for your questions. And then I am going to talk briefly personally, and this will be perhaps a 5-minute overview of other tools at ISU focused on the Writing Center and the Math Lab. So we will talk about that at the end as well. And with that, Laura, I'm turning it over to you. We're so glad you're with us.
Great. Thank you so much, Brooke. On that note, I am just so grateful to have this opportunity to share the library resources with you. You mentioned that you had learned some new things in speaking with me, and I will tell you that the library resources and our technology especially is always evolving. So there's always something new. And I know some of you may be brand new to ISU, some of you are returning, or some of you may be familiar with the library. So I might be sharing things with you that you already know. And but please feel free to stop me, or excuse me, save your questions or send them to Brooke, and I will address them at the end, because I'm hoping that you will learn something new and exciting, that I have some exciting tips and tricks. So if you haven't learned anything new, then I'll definitely up my game. All right, so let's get started. I shared a link in the chat to my Google Slides. I'm not going to necessarily go through the slides as we are doing the presentation. I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to visit the library website together. All right. And one moment while I do that, make sure that I do that successfully here. All right, can everybody see my screen okay? Can you see that, Brooke? Yes, okay, great, thank you. All right, so this is our library website. Increasingly, the library is an online space, not just a physical space. So we are located on the Pocatello campus, and we have branch locations in Idaho Falls and Meridian, and we service our distant students as well. So I'm going to just go through the main parts of our webpage. That will be these top tabs up here, and also our search box tabs here. And there's a few things down at the bottom that we'll discuss. But as far as our location, in Pocatello, we are right across from the Rendezvous, that big square building. In fact, maybe I will go to the slide for this. Oh, let me just do the down arrow. And can everybody see my pointer? I made it yellow. Okay, great. So if you don't have a link to the slides, here is the link that you can type in or you can scan. All right. So our library location. If you don't know where we are the big square building on campus, building 50. And I put a link here to the campus map. We are right across from the Rendezvous.
Mom will be here any minute, Ezra. She'll be here in a minute.
Oh, can you hear me now? I think I was unmuted for a second. Great. So we have over 1 million sources in the library building itself, but we have way more. That is just the very tip of the iceberg of what we have available for you online. So let me just scroll down. All right, we're going to be covering our website right now, and I've put this in here so that you can refer to it later. So on our website, you can get to it from any isu.edu website by clicking quick links and go to library, and here you are. The tabs at the top tell you how to navigate the page, and we do have collections within the library, and I mentioned other locations, which we have Idaho Falls and Meridian right here. We also have an online Idaho Health Science Library. We have a government documents section, and we do house the county's law library, so interesting to note. But most of your answers, utility-wise, oh, am I sharing my screen? Yes, okay, good. Utility-wise can be found under How Do I, as far as renewing books, borrowing books. We have some links here to citing sources, and we also have our About, which are our physical hours. But the most important link on here is the Contact a Librarians, which is how to get help, because at some point you may get stuck, or you're like, that librarian said that there was this idea, and please reach out to us, because we have bibliographers, librarians in every subject, every field assigned to, at least on campus. And you can even make a meeting with us by going here. Here I am. You can easily schedule an appointment by clicking this. This is linked to our Google calendars. So you can pick a day and a time if you like, put in your information, and you can even attach an assignment that you're working on. And I will set that appointment up, send you back a link if you want to meet by Zoom, or we can meet physically. You can search this page for another librarian in your subject area. If you're going into community health education, something in the health sciences, you may want to reach out to Ben or Kim. We have Tanya went through the doctoral program in instructional design here at ISU. So she's also a really great resource. Okay, let's go back to our main page. You might notice that we have this chat over here on the side. This will always pop up when you come to our homepage, and it's built that way because a lot of our students are online and don't know that we're on to answer questions. If we're not available at that moment, it'll default to an email form, and you can send us your questions that way, and we can get back to you within 24 hours. But we have at least until 5 o'clock about 8 librarians on and off all day. So you can chat with us there. You can email us, and we will get back to you. All right, let's go ahead and start. So the most important thing that you notice on this page is the center search box, right? And how do we know what is available for education students? Easy way to find out, because by the way, we have access to over 300 databases, and the title does not always tell you what it's about. It's not indicative of the topic area. So that can be quite confusing. So I suggest coming over here to subject guides. Now, these are pages that are built by the librarians according to field of study or topic. We do have one for education. And I also put in our slides today some others that may be particularly of interest to you. For example, here are our best bet databases that are specific to education. And I've put in our slides today also a description of each of these databases. So it gives you kind of an understanding of what sources you're looking at. This is Kathy Gray. She's our bibliographer for education. You can always reach out to her. She's the one who manages education resources, books, and works with the liaison for the education department to decide how we evolve our collection for your field of study. Great. So to look up anything, you can go over here and click on these tabs. And each of the LIP guides are built this way. So let's go back to the home page and talk about these databases. Again, they are journals. Sometimes some have ebooks, and one of the options I put in there was our ebook collection, just to kind of give you a taste. We have a lot of ebooks in there, and we're purchasing more and more ebooks, and I understand a lot of the program is online, so that's really exciting. All right, and then let's talk about OneSearch. OneSearch is a meta database, so it houses databases inside it, at least over 70 of our databases. So it's a great place to start in a topic and then develop further. So that's what I'd like to start with, because it's an EBSCO-based platform, which is a platform that a lot of databases use, and it provides us some utility. The concepts that we're going to show in this database in OneSearch can be used across all databases. And a lot of times I mentioned to use the help feature to figure out how to search that particular database in specific. But this one houses a lot of databases, so we can get a lot of results. Well, now what I suggest, we're just going to go straight into a search. Let's leave it blank because we're all advanced searchers. If we can shop on Amazon, we are advanced searchers. So I suggest get away from the single box. Let's do an advanced search with several boxes at a time. And the reason I want to do that is to really delve into a topic, because, for example, a Google search, you could put, how do I find da, 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 and we form it as a question. When we have these ideas here, we're basically doing a Boolean search where each box is a concept in our research idea. So for example, I could, let's say, maybe I want to look at gamification design in K through 12. Within the box, I can use or and get other synonyms that mean the same thing, which is great because that's what I'm looking for. And let's say here I want to do K through 12 and elementary school, middle school, high school, or secondary school. And then here I want to do instructional design. Oops. I'm just going to leave it at that. This one I'm going to put in parentheses because I want to make sure that those two words are searched as one. Another idea that you can do, like up here, we have gamify. Instead of having gamification, game-based learning, we could take this off And you can always truncate something to the root, and then it will pick up the alternate spellings of that word. So those are some options for you. And let's go ahead and search. Now, normally I have a search that is in the sometimes millions of results, but I have 23,000 results here. Can you see the screen okay? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Awesome. And as we scroll down the screen, we'll see that we have results back to 1964, which we may want to change. And we're looking at different types of results. We have an ebook here, we have a report, we have a book. So this is kind of, I term it as the throw the spaghetti at the wall effect and see what sticks. Here we're saying, well, you know, this is way too many to sort through, but let's say I really want to check things out from 2016 forward, what's happening right now. So I'm going to change my dates, and that cut it in half. Great. Now, for speed's sake, let's say I've scrolled down several pages of the results, and I'm noticing that there are a lot of results that are still coming up with undergraduate students or college students. So I can add more boxes, and I can make this a not. So I can subtract those results. So let's say undergraduates, students, college students, or university students. That's what I want. And there we go. That cut it down to 501 results. I'm a little worried about that. I'm wondering if it picked up the word students and got rid of a lot of relevant results. So I'm just going to fix it. Ah, that even made it smaller. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally it goes bigger, but that's all right. Okay, so we're down to 257 results right now, but that's okay because what we're doing right now is looking for a seed article, trying to figure out what it is that you might be looking for at this point. Maybe we're in this discovery process. And at this point, let's say you're looking for scholarly peer-reviewed journals. So we can click that box. If you wanted to just have books, you can come down here to source types and click books and see what we have in print here in the library and also as ebook, but we're not going to do that at this moment. And then I highly discourage you from clicking the full text box because these are computer information systems that are speaking to each other. And a lot of times we actually do have full text, even if it's not showing right there. Plus, you can always get something through interlibrary loan. So please don't ever, ever, ever purchase an article because a lot of times they're $45. Sometimes I find out that graduate students or students who are seniors have been purchasing books or excuse me, not books, articles for $45 a piece. Please don't do that because if it looks like we don't have access, we still can get it to you through our lending partners across the United States. All right, so by clicking scholarly peer reviewed, I'm down to 144 results, which is scrollable to me. So let's go down and just kind of take a look. So we have a list of results here. It's kind of like shopping on Amazon. So say, for example, I want red shoes. I've now narrowed it down here with the dates, maybe like my size, and I want red and I need pumps. So I have a list here that I can search, and notice that some of them say full text access and request this item through interlibrary loan. Please just get the full text access because if you do a request of something that we already have, it'll be denied. So just a little tip. Notice we have PDF symbols for things with full text attached. Sometimes it points us to another database. Sometimes there's a button that says find it at ISU, which is what I'm looking for. So I'm sorry if your eyes are getting buggy. My goodness, I can't find one right this second. Hold on one moment. Ah, there it is. There are these little buttons. What that means is it's talking to another database platform. And let's go into this one. For example, once you click on the title, you have the record. Notice that on the right-hand side, we have some functionality over here, and we can email this to ourselves. What does that look like? Well, I'll show you that. And over here, we have the full text access on the left-hand side. So the wings of the page are important, but in the record itself, you're going to find the bits that you need to make a citation, like the authors. The source is the actual journal that it comes in. You know it's a journal because it has volumes, issues, and pages, right? And then the abstract helps us say, okay, yes, this is something that I'm interested in or not. But it's also a place where I mine other keywords that help me start getting a better search, because I will reiterate this search over and over again until I really hone in on that topic that I was looking for. By the way, it's important to note that the database, when you are citing a source in OneSearch, remember it's the meta database, it is housing other databases. So this source is from Complementary Index. That is the database that it lives in. So when you're citing this source, that's what you want to use. All right. When we come up here, over here on the side, say you're just surfing right now for, maybe you're doing an annotated bibliography or looking for something specific, but you're just surfing. A quick way to save an article is to email it to yourself, which I'll just show you an example of that. And it has an option over here. It'll send you a citation style. I will just choose APA right now. And that's what it looks like. You'll get a link in your email inbox. That link sends you right back to this page. So it does not have the full text attached unless you see a PDF symbol over here, but it will bring you to this page where you can go get the full text. That citation, what it looks like, let me show you. Here it is. And you can always, if you're, I highly suggest using Google Docs or some type of cloud software computing where not everything that you have is saved locally. So I'm going to show you what that looks like if we just copy and paste that into here. Of course, this is not formatted correctly, and we can quickly fix that. But it's important to note that this is a computer talking to a computer, so there might be parts of it that are incorrect. And I'm noticing on this one, the title is incorrect because it's in title case. And in APA style, it needs to be sentence case, which means the first word of each part of the title is capitalized and the rest is not capitalized. So during your drafting phase, of course, you don't need to fine tune that, but before you turn something in, please know that these are just drafts and they need to be fixed. All right, let's come back to our source. Now I want to show you what it looks like when we find it at ISU. It may take us straight into the journal. It may take us straight into another database. We always hope that that link is working. And if it isn't, you can let us know. We will fix that. Oops, excuse me. So here we have it, and it does say full text, full access, and I look for the PDF sign. There it is. It's preparing it, and always save it when you get to this point. All right, so now let's go back to our list. What happens if full text isn't available? For example, this one. And it says request through interlibrary loan. That's an imperative. It's a demand telling you, you need to request this. However, there are some things we need to do to troubleshoot that, because yes, we can get that for you, but first it might already be available. So there are two things that I really suggest doing, which is finding out the journal. Here we have the journal title. It's International Journal of Game-Based Learning. I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to see if that specific journal, I'm going to use the Journals by Title tab, is in any of our other databases that might not be speaking to OneSearch. And it does not look like it. No results were found. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see, because it might be that this is living in the wild web as open access, but we don't have the open access link. So I have now copied the title, and I'm going to go back to the home page. And this is one of the secrets that I love telling everybody. Google and ISU have a contract together, which is why your isu.edu email is Google. So you can access Google through the institutional access, which means Google acts as a backdoor into all of our resources. So you can do a quick search for a known item. And in this case, we do have a known item. We have a specific article, and that's really what I like Google Scholar for. So to do that, always go to the library first, then go to databases, Google Scholar. If you're at home, it's going to ask you to put in your Bengal number and your last name. And that authenticates you, that gets you the institutional access. So it looks like a normal page. It's not. I'm going to put the whole title in quotations. That way it's searching all of the words in that order as one item. Now, it does not look like we have it available through the library, because if we did, there would be a link over here on the side. So what does that look like? Well, this article has been cited by 7 people, so we can kind of get a look, and we can also do related articles. And when I find a seed article, I love to do that. I love to then throw that title into Google Scholar and find out who is continuing that conversation forward into time. And then also what Google thinks are related articles. You can do the same thing in Web of Science. It is also a metadatabase. I'm going to go in here. Now these buttons on the side, when you're in Google Scholar without institutional access, do not show up. But here they're showing up and they're saying, you know what, there's a PDF that lives here. And it also lives inside the library website. So this link right here will throw us back into our ISU resources. If you have a PDF in the wild, which is what I call it, if you go there, sometimes it's a pre-publication. I like to make sure that it has all the markings of a journal article. Does it have the right page numbers? Does it have in fact, let's just look at one. Okay, great. One thing I do is come down here and check the bottom of the pages up, and the page numbers are at the top. This looks correct. How do I know for sure if this is correct? One thing I can do, oops, is just grab the title. Notice it's in all caps. So that would not show up right. It's just not letting me grab it. But I can throw that title back into OneSearch and just double check to make sure that this was actually published here. I can also go to the journal website here on the document and double check that. I always check that if it's a wild PDF. Let's go back to our results. What does it look like when we go back into ISU? It'll take us straight. Oh, never mind. Hold on one second. Easy proxy. Why is it doing that? I don't know. Of course. All right, let's try that again. So we copy the title, go to the library homepage, go to Google Scholar, hit go. Remember, we put the title of it in there, and here we can go to the cited by, and let's try another one. I think I have my Zotero is interacting, and I think it's acting as a proxy and not letting it work, but this is supposed to take you back into, nope, the library resources. Let's see if it will accept it. Apologize for that error. No worries. I'm sure, and it will take you back into OneSearch or back into a database directly, and then you can get the item and check it that way. All right, so, but we have now found out that this article in particular, we cannot get without doing an interlibrary loan. So we can go ahead now and click on that link. Every time it's going to ask you to put in your Bengal number and your last name. And that's because the first time you use this resource, it's going to ask you to fill out a form. And that's because the library, we don't keep records on you. By the way, I forgot to mention your Bengal card is your library card if you come physically to the library to check out a book. But once you return that book, that record erases, which is the same online as well. So the first time you come in here, you need to create a profile. And that's just going to ask you your basic information and your email, which is the most important, because then when we get the article, we'll just email it to you and you'll have it within 1 to 3 days usually. Sometimes it takes a little more. Notice when we do it from OneSearch, the fields that are required are already filled out. If you have any additional information, you can put it here and you could submit the request. Once you get it in your email, you have 2 weeks to download that article before it disappears. So please do that, because we only want to get that article once, not multiple times. Now, what happens if there's a book or something that we want to? I understand we have distance students, so what does that look like? You can come over here to My Library Accounts and Interlibrary Loan. Once your account is set up, you can come over here and make a new request. You can even get a book chapter. A lot of times they're digitized. If they're not, someone will actually go digitize it for you and send it to you. You can get a physical book mailed to one of our locations or to you if you're a distance student. By the way, let's go back to our main menu. I want to show you the resources for distance students, particularly right here. It's under Borrow Renew Books and Obtaining Library right here. ISU distance students, faculty, staff, see Obtaining Library Materials. And here's the specifics about how to get resources if you are off campus. It has directions on interlibrary loan if you have questions about that, and people you can contact. I make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. I think I covered what to do if you can't get access. Let's go back to our results list. Great. All right, let's end that search. Another subject guide I wanted to talk to you about, or at least point you towards, is one of my favorite, which is Zotero. If you are getting to a point where you're doing a literature review of a topic, it's really nice to have a reference manager. A reference manager is a place where you can keep all your citations for something in the cloud, and you can easily save a resource quickly to that system. So I invite you to watch this video about that. We do have other reference managers, and note, I think we have a few others on here. And of course, that's drawing a blank right now. Okay, I think I'm right at my 30 minutes. Oh, last but not least, I wanted to point you to other videos, by the way, on our YouTube channel. Some of them are outdated and we're working on them, but we have a plethora of videos in here. We have library basics. We have a playlist on Zotero itself. You can come in here and say you're at 3 a.m. in the morning and you need help. This is a great resource. Okay, I feel like I've talked. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute.
Thank you, Laura, for that overview. And the fact that this is recorded is helpful because students can then go back and maybe rewatch portions of it that might be relevant to where they have questions. But let's definitely pause now and allow this group the chance to ask their questions right now. You can put them in the chat box, everybody, or just unmute your microphone and let us know.
One thing we didn't cover was an author search. I get that question a lot. How do I search somebody's profile? For example, a researcher. So if nobody's asked that question, I can show that too.
Yes, let's dive into that. Great point.
Okay, I'll share my screen real fast. So a lot of times you might have one of your teachers say, please look up an article by so-and-so. How do you do that specifically? You can, again, just hit search, go into OneSearch. You can also do this on the Web of Science database. You can look up researchers. Almost every database has an author search, and it's always last name first. So I have a professor in the biology department. And I think this is. Okay, so you can see it's pulled up 186 articles, and it may be that there are multiple authors. You will find that a lot, but that's one way to get into an author search. Now, let's go in here. Remember how I told you in Google, let's go to Google Scholar. You can look up a profile for an author and see everything that they have published. So let's go there. And I'm doing it through the article. You could do an author search here as well, but I'm going to click on the author's name. Ah, this is the right person. Here we go. And I can see it defaults, I believe, in a timeline, maybe not. Oh, it defaults by impact. So this author has a high impact article of 631. That means 631 people have cited this author. You can also go into Web of Science, and an author may have a profile here as well. Oops, I don't know why that's doing that. All right. Oh, so sorry. So we're going to go here into researchers, and we would put in the name. Nope, not the title. This is especially important for yourself as you move forward, especially if you're at the doctorate level, because you can start to see where your impact is. This is the person we want. Great. And we can see their H-index metrics over here. We can see their latest publications. We can come in here and see all of their publications if we want to, that have been indexed by Web of Science. Okay, I'll stop that. All right. Any other questions?
So not so much that we have questions, but just comments that I'll share.
Okay.
So one person shared that Tanya is amazing.
Yes, she is. Yes.
Someone wrote that. Someone wrote how helpful it is for them to understand the quotation mark part of doing a literature research of a specific topic. And someone mentioned that they had not realized that there is access to a reference manager and that they had to pay for that back in their undergrad experience.
Ah.
Yes. And so we have one person living in California. And so the fact they can find resources all the way out there is helpful for that person. So yes, all of this is so important. I'm so grateful to know what was helpful to this group. That is
Great.
fantastic.
We have a lot of students in Alaska as well. And so it's amazing what you can do now through distance learning. Great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for letting me share that.
Thank you very much, Laura. Any other final questions or comments for Laura before they're saying thank you in the chat box.
Thank you. I was a bit nervous. I said too many times. Thank you.
It was fantastic. Thank you, Laura, very, very much. I echo our students in saying thank you. So Laura, we can offer you a gift of time. I'm going to stay on with these students for about 5 more minutes and talk Writing Center and Math Lab.
Perfect.
All right, Laura,
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you. Get a hold of me if you need help. I'm here.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I wanted to end tonight's presentation with a very brief statement about the Writing Center and the Math Lab. In terms of the academic tools available to all of our students at ISU, I believe that the library, the Writing Center, and Math Lab are not spoken of enough. At the graduate level, that might not be something on your radar as we transition now into talking about Writing Center and Math Lab. It might be something that you hadn't yet thought about utilizing or realized that we had. And I understand that because at the graduate level, you are accustomed to high-level math courses, high-level writing. You've been there, you've done it. This is not new for you, particularly those of you who are doctoral students. That is something where you've completed a master's, and so your writing has proven to be solid. But I didn't want to end without mentioning those two centers on campus. The Writing Center is available to you not for, of course, helping you to write, but in terms of overall structure, in terms of even helping you to check for grammar. Obviously, some of our online, like Microsoft Word formats, help with that as well. But I mentioned the Writing Center because writing is perhaps something that if you're a brand new doctoral student or a brand new master's student might be the most daunting to you. So if you would like their support in the structure of writing, or to have them read one of your essays for overall readability, just to have a second set of eyes on a something that you are writing, utilize them. The other thing to think about in your writing is plagiarism, and the Writing Center can be a great support to you in understanding how to appropriately, in the format requested by your program, which typically at College of Ed is APA. So within APA format, how do you appropriately cite those who you are referencing? How do you vary between quotations and also paraphrasing? And to what extent is paraphrasing appropriate, or are you crossing a line into plagiarism? And so the mindset of academic integrity is very important in your writing. And that can be perhaps for your first few papers, a good resource, that Writing Center team. They have volunteers who can answer questions about all of that. And I mentioned to you the Math Lab because I will share a personal story briefly. As I began my doctoral studies, came from a graduate program in which statistics was not required of me at the master's level, and yet it is very much expected at the doctoral level here at ISU. I then had to have both the master's level prerequisite statistics in addition to the doctoral level statistics. My experience in going back for that master's level prerequisite was very daunting for me. And what I did not do at the time, and it also happened to be what we would call an asynchronous course that is online. So my 6610 statistics course did not meet in person. It was not even on Zoom live with an instructor. It was very much asynchronous, read the book, take the quizzes, read the book, study, take the test. At the time, I was not in the right mental space to be aware of or to utilize the Math Lab. I wish that I had. They have students there who would have been a great resource to me. Free tutoring essentially is what I needed at the time and did not pursue. I wish that I had. So I share that story so that your experience, if need at the math level, as you take statistics, might be different than my own. Now, when I entered my doctoral level intermediate stats, it was taught synchronously online. Our instructor paused for questions. I met with him outside of class. My student mindset was different then than it had been with the prereq. So I encourage you to seek the Math Lab as needed, but also to not withhold from setting up a time with your instructor, either in writing or in math, if that would help you. Math happened to be my need. Your need might be understanding the academic integrity of writing and how do you cite appropriately, how do you understand APA format, whatever it might be. Remove that stigma from your own brain as you move forward. I see a question from Kelly. Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering about the Math Lab. I'm not required to take the graduate level statistics, but it's been like 20 years since I've taken it. So either I could take the graduate course, or I was thinking of just like beefing up myself over like the summer, taking LinkedIn courses. Is that something that the Math Lab can help with as well?
They would not be able to be a prep course for you. They
Yeah.
that's a great important question. Their ability would be for you to take your current coursework, and if there's a specific topic, a specific statistical test that you're struggling to grasp, they can dive in with you for a specific topic. I
Okay.
think what you're already doing is what exactly I would recommend, is that on your own, leading up to that intermediate statistics, that you are going online and revisiting the subject matter to kind of beef, like you said, beef up for that.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
you are welcome. Very important. I'm glad you asked that question. Any other questions about the Math Lab, Writing Center? We have a recommendation in the chat for Khan Academy, and I have heard wonderful things about Khan for anyone wanting to refresh or revisit. Yes, Yvette.
This is not really pertaining to what we have been doing this evening, but I thought since you're here, I wanted to just throw this question at you, and some of the other students might have a similar question. I'm in doctoral seminar 1 right now, and one of our first assignments is to put together a program of study saying, what we're going to take each semester. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do I do that if I don't know what classes are being offered?
Yes, great question. So let me first answer. I'm going to actually preface my answer with a brief statement about programs of study. Programs of study, for those of you who are new, is designed to be a roadmap of your program. Like you said, Yvette, it becomes your roadmap. It is the course trajectory you are intending to accomplish. It is based upon the overall course expectations and course rotation of your specific program. So the easiest way to understand that would be to go to the program website. So for example, to go to the IDT website, because within that website, you will see a link to the graduate catalog for your program. And there should also be a sample program of study available to you, or perhaps within seminar that was given to you. But essentially, it does feel daunting, but it actually becomes a relatively simple process of looking at what are the courses expected in your program specifically. And IDT is slightly different than the higher ed, than the K-12 education doctorate. But you look at what is expected in the graduate catalog for your program. And then most programs offer on their website a course rotation. So for the next few years, when are those classes offered? So comparing what is expected, when are they offered, and then going into that program of study template and typing that in. This is where it can become a bit self-directed. I'm frequently asked the question, how many courses is typical of a master's or doctorate student each semester? And that is self-directed because so many of our students are working full-time. They have family members or significant others they care for. And so I would say most grad students at either level are taking 1 or 2 courses, or somewhere between 3 and 6 credits per semester. That is about right. So based upon a student's preference, that student can then complete their program of study template accordingly. So let's say you are taking 2 courses per semester, that's your roadmap, and you can look at the total number of credits, add up 2 courses per semester, 6 credits per semester, and have an estimated timeline of graduation. The reason that they're asking you to fill out that form now is that not only does it help you to register for future semesters very easily, and I actually have a webinar I'm offering on November 1st for all of you who are current grad students. As you register for spring, we're going to talk in great detail about how to register wisely. But so the program of study helps you to register. You'll know what you need and what your plan is. But the graduate school they requested of each student at the point of hitting 18 credits. That is when we submit it on your behalf to the grad school. And it is required at the 18 credit point so that the grad school has documentation of your plan and they review it to make sure it seems reasonable. You then, at the completion of your studies, you will submit a final program of study in your second to last semester. That allows the grad school to spend time reviewing your final program of study so that there are no question marks for you to graduate. So that will be submitted at the second to last semester. And then in your last semester, at the very beginning, you will apply to graduate. We won't dive into that today, but you'll apply to graduate, which then is going to prompt the grad school to look at your program of study, check for any red flags, get back to you and your advisor or myself with any red flags. We rectify those, and then you graduate. So that's the explanation of why it is so important and why you'd be asked to fill it out now. In terms of how to do it, I see a note in the chat that Kelly for IDT received an IDT recommended schedule. That is fantastic. Those of you who are higher ed specific, it is on their website. There's a downloadable PDF specific to the higher ed program. I think everyone here except Maria is either IDT or higher ed. Maria, you are secondary ed. Am I remembering that correctly? I believe she is secondary ed. And so Maria, your advisor is going to work with you separately at the master's level to get that submitted by 18 credits. They may not have you fill that out now, but that is coming. And I'm trying to remember, Maria, where you are in the program, if you are just starting or if you've been with us for a while, but you'll complete that with the help of those advisors. Thank you, Kelly. So Kelly has shared what Dr. Coughlin shared.
Thank you. Brooke, thank you for all that information. One thing that I was trying to interpret was, I know where to access all those documents that you discussed, but I was having some confusion about the course rotation document because it seems like it was published back in 2020, the one online. And maybe I was looking at it wrong or interpreting it wrong, but it just seemed like there was just not a whole lot available next semester for this major. So unless there's changes, that's what I was confused about for the
right. So the first part of your question is the fact that the course rotation currently only goes through the year 2024, and some of you would be with us longer than the year 24, which is correct. And so I would say that they will be updating the course rotation to extend beyond the year 2024. Typically, it is done 3 to 4 years in advance. So yes, that will be updated, and then you will know the course rotation after the year 2024. Now, there are 2 types of courses all of you at the doctoral level will be taking. You will be taking what we would call the core classes, which are common courses for all 3 doctoral tracks. Everyone in IDT, higher ed, and K-12 doctorate take all of those courses. And typically, there are a pretty high number of those offered every fall and spring. So I would say beyond those core classes, obviously, you will also be taking courses specific to your track. And it could be that more of those could be offered fall than spring. That might vary. So my recommendation would be just keep an eye on what is being offered and try to kick out those core classes or even electives if you're not seeing as many of the IDT specific courses being offered. And Yvette, you're in a different situation too, where when someone is going full time and looking for, 9 total credits or perhaps 12 credits, anybody who is able to take more, is wanting to take more, you may end up with a future semester where you've taken enough courses, something is not available, or you've already taken it, and there might be a semester where you're just at a point of taking only one's left or two is left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it looks like there's a rotation for like the statistics and the quantitative and qualitative reasoning. I think I got thrown off. I feel like I kind of missed the boat because I'm taking the master's level statistics. And so I don't think, because that's a prerequisite for so many classes, and I don't think the classes that it's a prerequisite for are going to be offered again until next fall, unless this is unless that's
Right.
not accurate. So
The course rotation that you see is what will be offered in that semester. And so, yes, it is kind of a puzzle piece. It's a puzzle in a little bit of looking ahead and knowing, okay, I will be taking this in a year. What do I take now? My other recommendation is that the further down the list of courses those courses are what I would call upper level. So I would recommend always starting at the lower numbered courses, like the 7700, the 7703. Take those courses first. For example, you would not want to take the quantitative research methods prior to having your statistics. I'm
Yes.
sure that is something your faculty will begin to talk about if they haven't yet.
yes.
But there are nuances like that. Because there is quite a bit of autonomy when you register. I mean, your advisor may not necessarily each semester sit down with you unless you request it. There's that autonomy to self-register. It's unlike the undergrad level where there's more a bit of directive. So it's just a matter of being wise about what you know you can take each semester, and scheduling that meeting with your advisor when needed.
Okay.
But
So would you
also,
say- oh, I'm sorry. Would you say that course rotation document is accurate, or do you think that there will be different classes offered in the future? Like it's not necessarily accurate.
no, the doctoral course rotation is accurate.
It's completely accurate. It's not changing. It's
Right.
set. Okay.
There were changes that happened back in 2020 that are now reflected on that rotation.
Mhm. Okay.
For example, statistics changed at that time. That was one of those
Okay.
changes.
But it's an accurate reflection of what's being offered for the next several years. There's not like they're going to introduce something different next spring that's not on the list. Okay.
Right, exactly. And I do see a note from Teresa in the chat about Cognate. And so her question is, she knows that for the program, it is a course at the 5,500 level or above. Are these just electives? How do you determine which to take? So typically at the grad level, all of you should be entitled to being able to transfer in up to about 9 credits from your previous degree. So at the doctoral level, now at the master's level for secondary ed, Maria, this may not apply to you, but at the doctoral level, typically a student can transfer in up to 9 credits from their master's degree. Assuming that the institution is fully accredited and as well, you're accepted once you come from an accredited institution, but assuming that there are situations where someone's master's experience their transcript might be different or nuanced, or there are situations of transcripts being a narrative evaluation. Some schools, even public in California, for example, might have a narrative eval without grades. And so that would be a more unique situation of any of that type of student sitting down with the instructor, the advisor, to say, what would I be able to transfer in? Because typically up to 9 credits can be transferred, and typically it falls into the cognate area. For example, here's a good example I think will help this to make sense. There are people in the doctoral program, the higher ed track, who completed a master's of education very much focused on student affairs. And so some of those student affairs courses easily transferred into cognate, like student development theory, adult learning or curriculum, things like that. And so they have to be relevant to your current program for them to transfer into the cognate. But in addition to the electives that you might take here at ISU to fulfill any elective requirements, the cognate typically is where you would see transfer credits housed. Like that's where those would sit, so to speak, within your program of study. And Yvette asked a great question. Do the cognates all have to be a particular theme? No, they do not have to be a particular theme. They just have to be approved by your advisor that they fit the track that you are now in, like IDT. So it could be that, yes, if what you were hoping to transfer in, Yvette, was math related and fit with the IDT program, then that would work. No, but to your second question of can the prereq statistics count towards cognate? And the answer is no. It does not. It has to be its own prereq. Yeah. Great question though. There are also times, one final thought with that, there are times where substitutions are made. So in addition to the electives that you take or the cognate that you're filling, there are times where classes can be substituted. I don't want to go very deeply into that because I will end up confusing you at this point, I believe. But what I will say about substitutions is that it is possible. So if ever you are wanting to substitute a required course and to look for something that would count towards it, chat with me, chat with your advisor. I'll just say that as a very broad statement about substitution. So you have cognate that you're trying to fill, you have electives you might be taking, you have credits you might be transferring in that might fit within your cognate section of your program of study. But then there might also be a very unique situation where we're offering you a substitution. That is rare. It comes up in a special circumstance. And so that's why I don't want to go too far into that or even give examples. But I would say if you're curious about it, schedule a meeting with me or send me an email note. We can talk about it. And that is certainly something to talk about later if it comes up with your advisor. So you all have great questions about registration, about all of that. I'm grateful for the questions. I'm grateful that Laura Gleason could be with us tonight. I will share this recording with you all. And I did want to ask you a favor. So I'm going to send you a quick email with a very brief, I'll keep it very brief, survey. I would love to know what you thought about tonight's presentation so that when Laura and I revisit this for spring semester, that we might have your input to guide us. For example, what would you have added to it that would have helped you? I know you had the chance to ask questions, and so, but you might think of something later that you're like, oh, I wish I had asked Laura that or Brooke that question. Put that in the feedback form that I send you and let us know that, and we'll rectify that for the next time. And so that's my favor, but I also want to encourage you all, those of you who are brand new to the program that you're enrolled in, please join us again in future weeks for our upcoming seminars. So on Monday, October 3rd, I want to put a plug in. It is focused on thesis and dissertation policies and timelines. So for the three of you who are doctoral students, that is incredibly helpful to you. We will have the Associate Dean of the Grad School, Tracy Cullum, with us. Catherine Wilson from the grad school. Yvette, I know you know her. She will be with us answering questions, talking about policies, because those timelines and policies and procedures for theses and dissertations, I cannot overstate how important it is that those policies are met. And because all of you, this will be relevant to most of you, I encourage you to join us if you can. We'll record it if you can't. And then the other one coming up on, I'm just looking at my calendar, October 12th is a Wednesday. We'll have a demonstration of a research consultation lab. We have purchased the higher ed program, actually all three doctoral programs have purchased student access into a research consultation platform. We're going to dive deeply into it. I think it might be exciting for those of you writing a dissertation. And so I encourage you to join us in October for that presentation as well. And then on November 1st, we're going to be talking spring registration. I'm going to talk about how to navigate that seamlessly, how to be ready. We'll have that webinar November 1st because spring registration for you all at the grad level kicks off on Monday, November 7th. And believe it or not, it will be here before any of us realize it. And I want you to be prepared and able to register. We're going to talk about why you might see a hold on your account, what would be the reason, how to resolve those quickly. So again, please join us for that. And Kelly, thank you for signing up for that one. And then the final presentation for you all will be November 15th. I believe that is a Thursday, but the goal of that presentation is going to be life balance at the grad level. In November, we hosted in mid-November because you will be about to enter finals. And it's just hopefully going to be a really lighthearted, relevant. We're going to bring in some graduate students who have been around for a while. They're nearing the end of their journey, and they'll offer their advice for both finals and overall life balance. We're also going to invite some of our all of our prospective grad students, those who are in the process of applying, into that presentation, because it's a common question I get at the prospective student level as they're considering a degree is life balance. How do you do this well? How do you navigate all your aspects of life? We call it the backpacks, like the backpacks of life. How do you navigate that well? So that will be November 15th. And then one more final plug. In December, date to be determined, we are going to have an in-person and virtual stress relief end of semester celebration. Those of you who are local, we're going to invite you to campus. Those of you who are virtual, we're going to make it lighthearted. We might even bring in like a meditation expert just to do like a very relaxing meditation moment for you guys. But that is coming in December because we want to celebrate with you a successful semester. So those are the calendar dates coming up, webinar dates coming up, and you will get emails about all of those. I hope that I can be a resource for you all. You have my email address. You have both my coegrad@isu.edu email, but you can email me at brookbollinger@ISU as well. And I hope you will reach out whenever you have questions. And Kelly, you and I are going to be emailing, and thank you for your note this week. And I wish you all a fantastic month of September, and I hope to see you all very soon. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.